to Conversations in the Den. Today is our 20th episode, and in such, we'll be doing a Q&A where Alicia will be asking us the questions that our viewers have requested.
Yeah.
Alicia's feeling
So
a little under the weather, so she's not. We may not see her, but she will be. She is here.
I am here, and thank you, everyone. I know we posted on a couple of communities asking if folks had any questions for Maria and Jennifer, and there was a lot of great questions about strokes in general, and a couple of personal questions as well.
Okay.
So folks have used the word you, but feel free, you can both jump in. There is no specification as to
Okay. Where's
it was
Jen?
for.
Okay. Okay.
So the first question was, have you recovered from your stroke fully?
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to take that one, Maria?
Sure. Have I recovered from my stroke fully? Absolutely not. I don't actually expect that I will recover fully. I think that I'll take it as far as I can. I can take it, but that's, I personally, I still have no use of my left hand. I still walk with a cane. But I do have physio 5 times a week, so I'm working and I'm pushing hard, and I feel like I'm doing whatever I can do, getting enough rest to get my brain to do as much rewiring as it can do. But that's the best I can do, and so I'm not sure. I don't know that anybody recovers 100%, but
I
I'm
agree.
recovering every day.
I agree. I think for me, I mean, I look quite normal to most people in the world, but I don't, my husband used to say we never fully recover, but we adapt and we live life
Yes,
with the
absolutely.
adaptations. And so I've learned how to adapt. Now I seem very, very much like a whole brainer when I'm in the community. However, what you're looking at is not full recovery. You're actually looking at someone that's adapting. Now I'll tell you how I adapt. Um, if we are in conversation, you will notice that I will slip to your left and I'll put you on my right. That's because my left here and my left hearing and the hearing behind is very much compromised. I can't hear a word you're saying if you're talking to me on my left and behind me, simply
Okay.
because my brain does not process noise. It doesn't turn into words. So that's one of the adaptations that you'll see me do. Sometimes you will see me sit and talk to you. That's another adaptation because I still suffer with fatigue, but when I've had a long and tiring day, I actually need to sit and talk to you because I am in fatigue mode. So you'll
Hmm.
see me doing things like that. The other thing you'd see me do is breathing. Like people don't notice this even when I'm on camera, but I have to be mindful of my breathing because if I'm not mindful, you guys could just watch me pass out right there
No,
on
no,
camera.
thank you.
you know
Please don't do that.
you know did I ever tell you my stuff with Jeff? But when my husband was alive, he loved to drive, and so he would drive all the time, and I loved it because he knew where he was going. He was a great navigator. And so I remember one time, and he knew about my handicaps. So I remember one time he looked over at me. He's driving. He's talking, and I'm not talking back. And he looks over at me and he does this thing. He threw one hand across my chest and he goes, "Breathe, honey."
Yeah, I think you did mention that in the past. Yes.
So when that happens, you'll hear me do this because I'm sucking air in because something has
Yes.
distracted me and I'm focusing on it. And so because my brain is now divided, I can't breathe because I can't think about breathing and think about what I'm doing at the same time. And
Okay, so
so,
can I ask the question? I'm gonna ask you a question then, Jen.
sure, go ahead.
So in regards to this breathing, um, is that because of where your stroke was?
I don't know. I think in a stroke, and this is not scientific, I think the brain disconnects because the brain is made up of trillions and trillions of particles, and we don't really know how it's wired. And so
Yes.
sometimes it disconnects and it doesn't talk to the hand anymore. So the hand doesn't move. Sometimes
Yeah.
it disconnects and it doesn't fully talk to the lungs anymore, and the lungs is get
Oh, wow.
lazy. And so if it disconnects and it's not talking to my such certain parts of my body, then I can't fully function. And so I've recovered quite a bit from hearing. I've recovered quite a bit from my breathing problems, from my fatigue. Um, I've made leaps and bounds in those
Yes, we
recovery, but
do
I
have to
am
do a
not
lot of adaptation. You are
exactly, but
absolutely correct.
yeah, so I adapt through it all, but I function fully. So I'm an adapted, fully functioning stroke survivor. Is that a word? Is that a title?
Yes, it is. Fully functioning
No, it
is the
is.
word. Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I think that's a great title and both incredible answers. Folks on the other side of things are wondering how can they keep a caregiver, how can a caregiver keep a stroke survivor motivated? So what are some of the strategies that they can do?
Um,
Okay. Because I'm not. Do you have caregivers, Jennifer?
I've been exposed to a lot of caregiver in the work that I do in the community. And how does the caregiver keep this is going to sound really bizarre, but just get rid of all their previous friends. Get rid of all of them. Okay. So this is where I'm going with this. One of
Okay.
the things,
Okay. When you're saying caregiver, are you talking about
how does
family
the
member?
caregiver, how does the caregiver motivate the stroke survivor?
Okay, but what kind of caregiver are we talking about? A family member?
So they didn't specify, so it could
They
be
didn't.
a spouse, a parent, a friend, someone who's
Okay.
there to support you.
So let me finish what I'm saying because it's very important. I don't
Yes,
want
go
people to
ahead.
just hear. I don't want people to just hear get rid of their friendships. So, for example, one of the things we do as stroke survivors is that the more people that is from our previous life that's still around us, the more we want to measure up to their expectation, and that is a downright downfall. And so the frustration in us when we see these people from our pre-stroke days and their expectations, the frustration makes us feel very defeated. And so we tend to slide towards I'm never going to get better or I'm never going to integrate into society rather than sliding towards I'm good, I'm great, I'm doing
And you're
fine,
moving, you're progressing.
and I'm getting better, and I'm moving towards integration into society, and I'm moving towards friendships and living a full life. And so one of the things I find that was very helpful for me personally, and I call it God pruning my life. And so I have a ton of friends, but all of a sudden, here I was left with just a handful of friends from my previous life. And it was beautiful because all the people that kept coming into my life, they were meeting me for the first time. And so they were very impressed. Every person have inside of them something that they want to impress the person they're talking to. We all want to, we want the other person to look at us and go, wow, you're beautiful. We want the other person to look at us and go, gosh, I can't even tell you had a stroke. You've just got a small
Okay,
list.
can I co-sign that? Can I co-sign that? I'm gonna co-sign it because I had a million friends. I had a great social life, but my friends, I didn't choose to remove myself from them, but a lot of people removed themselves from me.
Yeah.
The strength that I have, they don't necessarily have, and so they chose to go on with their lives, and so now I have the one or two, and the people that have left, I realized that they were here for a reason
Yeah.
or a season. And now I'm very blessed to have people like Jennifer and Alicia in my life
Man.
who
Amen.
understand me and who care about me.
Yeah.
And that means the world to me. So the people that have gone
Yeah.
or are no longer in my life, that's okay.
It's a
In
blessing.
the beginning,
It,
it bothered me, but after a while, I started meeting new people.
and I think, I mean, that's only one part of how to motivate them. The other way to motivate, survivors is, I'll tell a little story and I'll let our viewers draw their own conclusion. My husband and I oversee the Hamilton Young Stroke Survivors group. And I remember there was an older couple that came to our group, and the husband was a businessman. Now he could not run the business anymore, and he was smart as a tack. However, he was severely affected. And now the wife is so used to doing everything for him that she was putting his coat on, she was opening his candy wrapper, and she would do everything. Every meeting, she did everything. And one day, my husband said to him, he's like, I really think you can put your coat on. And he looks at him and he goes, no. He had aphasia as well. And he goes, no. And Jeff said, let me help you. And so Jeff put one hand in, and the affected hand in, and the man took the unaffected hand and he pulled the coat behind him and stick his hand in, and then he held it down with his arms like this and he buttoned it up, and he turned to his wife and he says, look. Now, what had happened was she had assumed that he wanted her to do everything for him. So she would open his candy wrapper for him. So there was no kind of, he wasn't feeling like he was accomplishing anything in his recovery. But the minute he did something on his own, he was so happy. So
you have to ask.
So I think, it's the ask, but also it's the, let that uncomfortable pause happen. Let it be, if you are taking care of a survivor and they sit to the table and they're eating, and only one hand works, and you see that they need their meat cut up, allow them to struggle with the fork for a few seconds until you can do it for 5 seconds, and then look over and go, do you need a hand? And give them a chance to say just what you said, Maria, the ask. Yes or no. If we as caregivers don't allow the people we take care of to have success, even though it's a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of success, if we don't allow them that, they're not going to stay motivated, and they're not going to want to do things for themselves. And although it's really, really hard, because here's the thing. Remember when we had children, when they would be tying their shoes up and it'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm late for work. Here, let me do it. It's a situation of the caregiver watching the survivors struggle for 5 minutes or 5 seconds and going, do you know what?
Patient.
Here, let me do it. I'll tell you one more story as to why this is important. We had a man in our group. He came to our group and he couldn't even speak a phrase. He was suffering from horrible aphasia. He was an older man, but him and his wife, they were so young at heart. They were like, we're so young. We don't want to be a part of the older group. We want to be a part of your group. And we said, welcome, sit down, let's talk. Now, this man had had a stroke and he couldn't speak a phrase. One of the things Jeff and I were really big on is when someone is talking, they've got to finish what they're saying, where no one gets to interrupt, even if it takes a whole 60 seconds for you to say yes. The question was asked to Maria, for example, and if Maria is finding yes, then 19 people are going to sit around and wait for Maria to find yes. And so we did that with him constantly. It was his turn to speak. His wife wanted to talk for him. I was very good at saying, why don't we see what he thinks, let's give him a chance to speak, and Jeff and I, it was never uncomfortable. We just sat there and patiently and expectantly smiled and waited. Now, this worked because he started to speak. He started to pull phrases and words out of his mouth. Pretty soon he was pulling sentences out.
Wow.
And we didn't really notice, we didn't really notice where things switched when he started talking. We didn't really make a note of that, but we did make a note when we went to a meeting one night, and it was a condominium meeting, and we were representing my father-in-law. Now, we had forgotten that this guy lives in the same building, and someone went to the microphone around with a room full of about 300 people. Someone went to the microphone and started speaking about their concerns. And I looked at my husband and I went, that sounds like, and he said, it is.
Wow.
Now, it was him. And now he wasn't speaking in full sentences still, but he was able to get across that that he had concerns with the board and how they were running the condo. My point is that we have to be patient with the survivor. We have to let them tie their shoes until they ask for help. We have to let them eat, and we have to let them drink. We have to let them put their coats on. And you've got lots and lots of compliments, lots and lots of compliments, lots and lots of great work, lots and lots of, oh my gosh, you realize you spoke 4 words just now? And have them go, yesterday you only spoke 3. It's been a year. You've had a stroke for a year. And up until yesterday, you only spoke 3 words. Today you did 4. Oh my goodness. You know? But there's many ways to keep them motivated, keep a survivor motivated. Many, many ways. And when you, the other thing too, to keep them motivated is you, as a caregiver, take them out in public and don't be ashamed of them. Don't treat them like, like they're different. I remember I watched a movie a long time ago, and the father had dementia, and the son, he said to him, I'll meet you for lunch at this famous restaurant in LA, I think it was, that he always frequented. The father would take him to that restaurant all the time. And so he gets there. Now he knows about the dementia. He knows about the weird behavior or the strange, behaviors that are not acceptable in society. And he gets there in this fancy restaurant, and his dad had taken his pants off and sat down. He'd taken his pants off and he sat down in the restaurant. And the waiters they're all huddled aside, if memory serves me correctly, and they're looking, and people are looking at him going, but the dad had crossed his legs and he had the menu up there, and he's looking at the menu like it's a normal day in society. And he's looking at the menu and he said to his son, sit down. And so I think in the movie, his son looked around, got up, took his pants off, and sat down.
Okay.
So he joined him.
Was Bill Murray in this movie by any chance?
I don't remember what it was. I do remember who was in it. I forget his name, but his name, it'll come up as soon in a minute, and I'll tell you guys. But we can't be caregivers, and we can't be embarrassed with the people we care for. We can't take them to a restaurant and when they cough and food comes out of their mouth, we look around like they're not with us. We can't take them out for a walk, and they walk so slowly that you barely get to 50 meters and you've got to go back home. And we look around at everybody else and go, oh my gosh, and we have this thing inside of us that makes us, we share this embarrassing look. When we do that to people, guess what they do? Guess what stroke survivors do? They go, I am never going outside again. I am never going walking again, because they feel that embarrassment. You might not say a word as a caregiver, but they feel that, they sense that, and they know they've done wrong, because in your eyes, they've done wrong. So you can't be embarrassed with who you're caring for. Take them out in public. I mean, I just recently had coffee with 2 survivors. One is left side affected. The other is in a walker. And however we were all eating, I just sat there, and whatever was going on, it was no business of mine. All I was focused on is what we were saying. I was not focused on their disability. I wasn't focused on the food that was falling on their chest. I wasn't focused on, the dropping of the forks or any of that stuff. It's none of my business. My business as a caregiver or as a friend is to pay attention to what's coming out of their mouths.
Okay, the other thing that I would like to add to that is that at times when we do make a request, it may come across as a demand. But sometimes, like for example, with myself, I find that I will ask something because I don't want to forget. But doesn't mean I'm asking you to do it right now. It just means that I'm just saying, can you do this? Whenever you have the time. And I've had to explain that to people, because when I say, can you do this? They're like, I'm doing something right now. I'm like, I'm not asking you to do it right now. I'm just saying it so that you will remember later. Because I'm not going to remember later.
Well,
Because
I
in my
think,
mind, now that it's on my mind right now, but it's not going to be on my mind in 5 minutes.
well, the thing to understand about survivors is that the reason we do that is because we don't want to forget. But people interpret it sometimes as us interrupting the conversation, and it's not true. We're not interrupting. We are trying to get it out so quickly because we know we're going to forget. I'll tell you a little story about my husband, and so that our viewers understand what I'm talking about. Soon after my husband had his stroke, he was watching TV and he noticed that the light bulb on the lamp on the side of the TV had gone out. So he got up, he went to the utility room to get a light bulb to replace the light bulb. He stood in the utility room and he goes, "Why am I here? I do not remember why I'm here."
I've
So
done that a million times.
So he went back and he sat down to finish watching his show, and he looked up again, and there it was. The light bulb in the lamp was out, and it needed a new
Mhm.
light bulb. So he got right up. He went back to the utility room. He stood in the little utility room, and he said, "Why am I here? I don't remember." So you know what he did? He sat back down. He realized for this after the second time that something is not right. I know it's laughable, isn't it? I
You
mean,
can
it's
do
funny.
that? Not just joking.
I no, no, it is. We have to laugh at ourselves. I mean, I laugh so hard it's not funny. But you know, he's a good guy. But you know what he did? He said, and I wasn't there when it happened, but he told me the story. He said what he did the third time was he got up. He knew that something he was going to forget. So what he did? He started saying the word. He says, "Light bulb, light 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 bulb." He got to the utility room saying light bulb, light bulb, light bulb, light bulb. So what happens? He remembered he's here to
Yeah.
get a light bulb for the lamp. And so, you know, sometimes we're not being interrupting, we're not being disrespectful, we're not just stopping you from talking. um we just need to, we want to remember, you know.
And it's not a demand, it's just a request.
It's not a demand, it's just a request. And sometimes we might sound angry because that's our first emotion for many years. Is, I mean, I've said this on this show before, where, you know, in that first, you know, year or two of my stroke, if especially the first year of my stroke, if you had told me that I won $1 million, I'd still get angry and I'd go, what do you mean I won $1 million? What are you talking about? Are you kidding me? And I'd be so angry because guess what? That's my first emotion. I had no filter. I had lost all of my filter for my emotions. The only thing I had left in me was anger. And so I had to relearn that when I hear words like, "You won $1 million," I had to go, wait a minute, is that offensive or no? And I had
Oh.
to, so I had to retrain my brain. I had to
But we
retrain my
want our
brain.
cut. We want our cut.
Okay, I tell you what, 50%. You get 50%, and I'll share with
There's three of
Alicia.
us. We can't do 50. There can't be three 50s.
Okay. No, no, I'll take a quarter. Alicia and I will share a half. Because you're so awesome, we'll give you a half. You know, it's not, and so sometimes people get mad at us because they view us as interrupting. They view us as not being interested. I remember talking to family members, and they go, "Well, she's not interested when we go and visit. She's on her phone." And I go, "She's not on her phone. She's looking for words in her head. And the only way to make her look normal is to flip through her phone while she looks for the words, because she is surrounded by people that are whole brainers and they're expecting her to look normal. She's high powered. She used to be high powered in her previous in pre-stroke. She's just doing the best she can to look normal. She's not busy and she's not distracted.
And what would be really lovely, I will say as well, is if people would. I find a lot of the times people think that I use the fact that I had a stroke as an excuse. If I
And
forget something or if I do something incorrectly, and I'll say, "Don't forget I had a stroke." They're like, "Yeah, okay, Maria. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I forget too."
Well, here's the thing. My husband had the exact same problem, Maria, exactly the way you explained it out of your mouth. And you know what he said one day? He said, if there's one person here that would like to forget they had a stroke, it's me. I would like to forget for even if it's just 5 seconds, but I don't get that opportunity. I don't get the opportunity to forget that I had a stroke because 24/7, 60 seconds per minute, I am reminded that there's things I cannot do.
Yes.
I am reminded that my body is in pain and it doesn't work. I am reminded that I can't see clearly. And so he says, when I say, don't forget that I had a stroke, or if I say, sorry, I had a stroke, it is me saying to you, bear with me. I am not like you. I am not a whole brainer like you. Bear with me. So I think, patience, keeping survivors motivated requires a lot of work. And
It really
for
does. And patience, a lot of patience.
so for one of the things I always talk about too at the Hamilton Young Stroke Survivors group is that we talk about the caregivers and how much they need to care for themselves and how they need to take time off and be well and fill up their cup so that they can come back to us survivors and give to us, because if their cup is half empty, they're not going to have enough to give to us and themselves, because we require a lot of patience. We require a lot of understanding. We require you to watch us like a hawk and interpret for us what we're trying to say and do and think. Sometimes you ask us a question and we're looking at you and you are thinking that she doesn't want to answer, but it's not true. I'm looking for the words. I am trying to find the words to pull it out of my mouth to tell you what I want to tell you. So you just got to, just be patient with us. We want to talk. We're in there. We want to talk, but we need you to help us
What
talk.
I dislike as well is I dislike the fact that people always say, "Maria, you're so smart. Maria, you're so smart. Come on,
Yeah.
I know you know." Like, it's like, yes, I was smart, and yes, I still am smart. But
Yes.
there are times when it's a challenge.
Yeah.
So I can't always remember something.
Yeah.
I will set a new password, and I know that the regular person does this as well. So I'm not saying it's only stroke survivors, but I set up a password, and the
Mm-hmm.
next day I forget the password.
Yeah.
And so I have to call the bank again and change the password again. But people think that, oh, just write it down, Maria, just write it down. Yeah, I write it down, and then I forget where I put the piece of paper.
Well, I am with you, girl. But here's what I've done. Here's what somebody turned me on to. Actually, my husband did this 8 years ago. He found this program, this app called Passkey. Actually, no, it wasn't him. I think my stepdaughter found it and she shared it with us about 8 years ago. And it keeps all my password on my phone. It's an app, but the app has become so successful. And it's such an amazing app that now you can't get it for free. Only the people that downloaded it 8 years ago can use it for free. Everybody else has to pay.
Oh,
But it's amazing. Anytime I change a password, I'm telling you, Maria, no word of a lie. I grab my phone, I repeat it in my head a couple of times or write it down. I grab my phone, I grab my passkey app, and I put it in ASAP because I know I'm going to forget every password.
oh
So
yeah.
you need an app to do that. But the other thing about forgetting is that, and people saying to us, oh, that's this stuff. Um, I'll tell you another little story, because sometimes people get it when I tell these stories. Um, I had a stroke in May, and my daughter came home from the States because she was going to school in the States, and she came home in December for Christmas. And we had an island in the kitchen, and she's so accustomed to asking me what I think. And I think I was sharp as a tack, like I would be thinking like that.
Mm.
And so she asked me and she said, what do you think, Mom? And I go, well, can I think about it and, let you know tomorrow? You're home for the holidays. And she looks at me and she goes, Mom, you know this stuff. Come on. And she did this thing with her finger. She's like, come on, you're as sharp as a tack. Like, come on. Like, I can't wait till tomorrow to hear what you think. Like, tell me today, tell me now. And I looked at her and I said, oh, honey, I said, I want to tell you now. I said, but this brain damage thing, I've kind of slowed down a little bit here. So, and she had forgotten. She didn't mean to be disrespectful. She had completely forgotten that mom had a stroke just before she left for school. And I needed to educate, and I needed to remind her, honey, it's not that I don't know the answer. It's that I can't gather the words to tell you right now. But sometimes people forget that, we had a stroke. It goes both ways.
I have some short-term memory issues, and then other times, I mean, I can give you, I mean, not that anybody needs to ask me, but I can tell you my credit card number. I can tell you my bank card number. I can tell you, like, I can recite those things because I worked with numbers in my job for years at the university. But ask me a question about something very simple. If it's not something that's been regularly used with me, or something that I'm really focused on, it's gone.
Yeah, no,
I'm an Amazon shopper, so I remember my credit card number.
That's because you want to shop and buy stuff. Listen, but I think keeping a stroke survivor motivated is multifaceted. It's a really big question. Yeah. So I would say focus on a few things. The accolades for improvement, patience with them when they are trying to use that affected hand, when they're trying to use that affected leg, when they're trying to get the words out, patience. So accolades, patience, and do take the survivor out in public and don't be embarrassed. Please be patient with us. We're not
understanding and patience. Yes.
We're no longer the sharpest crayon in the box, but guess what? We're amazing. We've got more. We've got some other things that we want to bring to the table. We've got some other things we want to bring to the community, and we're just waiting for an opportunity to bring that. So that's it for me for motivating the survivor. Yeah.
Yeah. So we are actually technically out of time, but we do have a few more questions. So you can either save some of these questions for folks for next week, or we can continue on. There's about 3 more questions left.
Give short answers.
I'm not sure. Okay, why don't we, may I suggest we maybe do them next week, Maria? Only because I think these questions are important to people and they want to know the full answer. So yeah, sure. I don't know. What do you think? What do you guys think? We can have this
next week. That's no problem.
Yeah, I think we can definitely do a part 2, folks. So if you have any questions that people have in the meantime, please don't forget to comment them below in the channel, or to send us an email at conversationsintheden@gmail.com.
Yeah. And thank you for being with us, and thank you for asking questions.
Thank you for all of the people that actually do sign in to watch our program. We really appreciate it. Our mission is to educate and inspire and inform people, because we want to give you that warning sign before it's too late.
Yeah.
We want to let you know the symptoms before it's too late. Mm-hmm. We want to give everybody an opportunity to save your own life, mm-hmm. or save your partner's life. Just by remembering something that we said. If we could do that, then we've done all that we set out to do. If we could save one life just by giving you a simple warning, a simple symptom, that could have made all the difference. I mean, the differences between Jennifer and I. She had TPA, whereas I did not, because I had been on the floor for 6 hours. But if
Yeah.
you're within a 4-hour time frame, having that knowledge that you can get the clot buster, hopefully that can prevent you from having to go through the challenging physical parts.
Yeah.
It may
Yeah.
not help everything. There's no miracle cure, but
Yeah.
we're just saying if we can help one person, just
Mhm.
one person, to just not have to go through all that we go through on a daily basis, that is our goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, thanks. I think we're out of time. Thanks for all your input, Maria. Alicia, thanks for bringing those questions to the table. And
Yes,
to our
thank you.
viewers, thank you for asking the questions. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Yes.